If the past was all like today, the world would be a lot nicer.
I would have preferred to stay in England, but other people would have thought, wow, it's a new chance to have a new life.
We certainly don't have cannons and cannonballs.
Tales of do and dare, of Tudors exploring the seven seas. At High Heskett School in Cumbria, a whole week has been set aside for the Year 5s to explore the Tudor period. The pupils aren't just learning key dates and facts, but are beginning to engage with the moral issues or values of the period.
I think it's really difficult for them to even begin to visualise because it's over 400 years ago. And looking back at people in history and looking at what people have done is hopefully going to give them an awareness of who they are today, why they're here today, and what other people have had to go through before them to make the world the place that it is today. Today we boarded a ship for our termly topical trip. We clambered up the gangplank, tightly gripping the rope from the bank. We clattered onto the deck, squashing into this lovely old wreck.
Jen asks her class to imagine their 9-year-old boys on board a Tudor galleon hundreds of miles from land. She hopes to help her class consider the gruesome realities of life on board ship.
We look at a lot of PSHE in school, and through looking at the Tudor exploration, it was such a huge time of change, and there were so many values, trade, plunder, Christendom, missionaries, religion involved in that era, that it's a perfect tool for giving the children access to the values. So what kind of things do you think weren't very nice on this galleon?
Well, you had to be crowded in one tiny room and sleep with rats, and you didn't have very nice food, and it was rationed, and you would have been quite jealous of the captain who got all the gold and had his own room and furniture.
Fantastic. So do you think you would have liked to live on this galleon?
No.
No? Not as nice as living in High Heskett, is it? I really enjoyed that, and I think the children really enjoyed it. The poem was just a stimulus to get them starting to think about what life would have been like on the ship from two different perspectives, and that's why we've tried to make an atmosphere to get them involved.
Well, we're writing questions for the sailors to answer, and because we're Sir Francis Drake and we want to know how they feel about us.
If I was to sail around the world, would you come with me?
Well, probably yes, because my mum and dad usually put you on a galleon even if you like it or not really, so.
Do you think that me stealing stuff was bad or good? And would you have done it?
Well, I wouldn't have stole things because I know the punishments, and the punishments aren't very nice, and neither is the captain's.
Right, well done. Can we give Rachel a big clap? Back to Rachel B now. Fantastic answers, Rachel. It's difficult, isn't it, to try and imagine yourself in the role of somebody else, especially when here in High Heskett, everything's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think that my punishments are as bad as the punishment that the captain gives her. Now we have Sir Francis Drake, the great hero himself, and he's here to answer as many questions as he likes from his crewmen.
Jimmy?
Did you ever have a girlfriend in England?
That's none of your bizwax. You can't ask that. Right, you're just getting hanged.
They seem to really get into role, especially Martha at the end there. And when they're enjoying something and getting excited about something, they generally tend to learn a lot quicker and get a lot more out of the session. Well, I had 3 years travelling around the world. I had a career break. I think when you've been to small little villages where there is no running water, and you see the effect that westernisation's having on those villages, it just really got me thinking, what is the effect of the Tudor exploration today?
When I put this in, I want you just to stir, and we're going
To help the pupils understand the difference between today and the Tudor period, Jen has her class make and eat a traditional Tudor seafarer's meal.
Hardtack. Well, it's what the Tudor sailors would have eaten as a snack on their ships. It's like a biscuit, but it hasn't got any sugar or eggs or flavouring in.
It was really hard for them in Tudor times, and when I was eating my tea, I was thinking about all the people that had to eat biscuits with mice on and everything.
It's horrible. It's really watery and it hasn't got any flavour.
Water, salt and flour. And it's not that nice. They must have lived the whole life.
Kirsty, do you think you could manage to eat that all day, every day for a few months? Do you feel sorry for those sailors on the galleons that when all their fresh food ran out and they weren't near land, this is what they had to survive on? I found it rather strange that some of them enjoyed it, but it's just brought the whole experience to light. They've made the hardtack themselves, so they know what's involved in the process of making it. They understand that that's maybe only some of the supplies that they would have had on board when they're in the middle of these big journeys, so it's just brought it all back to this century really for them.
Jen isn't a history specialist, so to support her teaching, she's invited an expert from the National Maritime Museum to talk to her class by video conference.
But even worse, there were things eating the biscuits. Any ideas what there would be down there eating the biscuits?
I think it blew the children away a little bit at first because they were very quiet. It was trying to just enrich the session as much as we possibly could, so using the National Maritime Museum is really useful and very powerful, and why not use it? Even though we're in Cumbria, we've still got access to it.
And this ship behind me is Francis Drake's ship. It's called the Pelican.
It was a great introduction to the work that we're going to explore further about Sir Francis Drake. And was he a pirate? Was he an explorer? It was really useful for the children to hear that introduction from somebody else.
I'll leave you there and say goodbye. Okay, thank you.
Having begun to understand the motivations of Tudor sailors, at the start of a new day the class switched perspectives to consider the impact of attempts by the British to colonise Roanoke and the motivation of these settlers.
Going to give you now a minute to talk to the person next to you to think about why on earth would you want to leave England?
And maybe start a new life.
Yeah. They might think that if they help, that they'll get some money for it.
They'd probably be quite excited because they're going to discover these new lands and see new things, and they'd probably be a bit nervous too because you're on a ship and most people can't swim.
Some people want to become heroes and they want to become rich and fair.
Like Christianism or
No, it's Protestants.
Oh right, yeah, and Catholic. Well, there might have been quite a lot of arguing and complaining between them two. So they wanted to go somewhere else. They were going after spices and gold and silver and silt, so that England will become really, really powerful.
I want to go to a different country for like stuff like gold or silver or tobacco or bronze.
I'll make new friends.
You've told me to make England more powerful, to find out more about sports and games, find more land, to make Queen Elizabeth happy and rich.
The Year Fives go out into the wild to imagine what Tudor settlers would have needed to start a life in the New World.
I'm going to ask you to use your imaginations. So I want you to imagine that you have just been put here. All of a sudden, it's going to start to rain. We've only got the clothes that we're wearing at the moment. We haven't got anything else. What are you going to do?
Well, I would put my coat over my head and start running for somewhere, some shelter.
Where would you start running to?
The forest over there, You could get someone to come and pick you up and drive back.
How are you going to do that? How are you going to get in touch with them?
You could use your mobile and do it.
Keep you dry.
Anyone got a mobile phone? No. What are we going to do, Matthew?
I don't know.
We're going to just spend a few seconds. I want you to have a good look around you and really think, if you had been put here, what would you do to start your whole life again? So you're going to imagine that you're a settler and you're still in England at the moment. What are you going to do first? Put those tasks in order of importance.
Gather people who wish to emigrate first.
Yeah.
Just got meet the local people. No. Buy seeds to take with them. Yeah. Who thinks this one's the next one?
Yeah, okay. Then we'll arrange shelter.
Yeah.
That one. Find a source of water. Be next.
Yeah. Do you want to put a bit of blue tack on it, Matthew? Yeah.
Gather a group of people who wish to emigrate. Buy seeds to take with them. Arrange shelter. Meet the local people. Find a source of water. Get ready to trade.
You could make the find the source of water quite near to that still, because you might want to live near the source of the water.
Fantastic. So if you find a source of water, you're going to want to make your permanent shelter near that water, aren't you? Right, haven't we changed round then?
Since we have landed, we have discovered that the land has wonderful soil, more wild grapes than France, Spain or Italy.
The class listened to a first-hand account of a Tudor settler's experience of Roanoke and begin to grapple with the complex issues surrounding the values of colonisation.
The climate is so good that nobody has been ill since we arrived. I think that if Virginia had a reasonable amount of horses, cows, and if it was inhabited by English people, no other country in Christendom would compare to it.
They were getting on with the locals. 1 year later, they'd all disappeared. Who might want to take a guess at what happened? Matthew?
They might have died.
They might have died. Why? What could have caused them?
They could have been stabbed or something. Well, the native people could have decided after a year that they didn't really like the people because they were bringing different things into their country and they're used to normal ways. And they got together and did something about it.
Now that's a really interesting idea, isn't it? The local people might not have liked it. Now we heard from that account that they were getting on really well with the local people, Rosa. So what kind of things do you think they might have taken to this new world that the local people didn't like?
A bit like bossing the other ones around and taking more and more land up. And then bringing all these new English ways into their country.
That's a brilliant idea. Right, I'm going to tell you what we do know happened. There was a really hard winter. It got very, very cold. So the settlers didn't have enough food. So they snuck along and they stole some food. Because they'd stolen the food, the American Indians weren't really very happy. So they went and attacked the settlers. Do you think they were right to steal food? Why not, Joshua?
Because it's their food, not the settlers' food.
What would you have done if you didn't have any food?
I would have just gone and asked if I could have some food.
It would have been a bit politer, wouldn't it? What do you think the American Indians felt like, Erica?
They're going to feel really annoyed with them and mad and angry at them because they'd put the time and effort to help them and then they've just taken what they've had.
Fantastic, but we don't really know what happened to them. So all that was found was a skeleton on the beach, but they don't know whose skeleton it was. They're never going to be able to visit the Tudor period and get that first-hand experience. I think it's our job to make it as exciting as they possibly can to try and travel back in time to make it more meaningful. Otherwise, to them, it's just pages in a book, really.
To hear Jen discuss this lesson with a primary history expert, watch Exploring Tudor Values Analysis.